Hey guys, welcome to my Dark Souls video. This is my first one, and it's most probably going to be my last as well. Now, the reason why I'm actually posting a video of this is because it's actually based on the gravelord sword. Now, the thing is, you would find ever since the patch, the Authorities of the Abyss patch, there actually hasn't been many builds, or I actually haven't been able to find any builds based on the gravelord sword. Like most people, you may be able to find some videos where, yeah, a person is using it, but then they'll always switch it midway in a fight, usually, to go with a katana or something else. But this one that I've made is quite different. It is completely based all around the gravelord sword. I do not switch it out, except for maybe to cast Miracle. And in real gameplay, I may actually change up to an offhand, maybe a arrow or something like that. But my main melee weapon is always and most definitely is the gravelord sword. Now, stats with this build, basically it could have been 125, but I stuffed up some faith. So it's basically a vitality build, sort of. You know, you get 1,800 or so. Doesn't really have any dex. It only has enough strength to wield the gravelord sword, and I've got faith as well, which it wasn't meant to be. But I sort of at the start I wanted to build something different, but in the end I just loved the gravelord sword, the idea of it, and so I stuck with it. So let's talk about the cons first of the gravelord sword. Now, most people who PvP knows that this sword doesn't do this much damage. A lot of people would prefer, say, the Miracamo, which is faster, I believe. It's longer and does a lot more damage, especially if you have enough dex for it. Now, so damage-wise, it's not very good. Another con of it actually is that a lot of its attacks have a lot of recovery. Namely, most probably the dashing R1 attack. The dashing one-hand R1 attack. And you've also got the problem of your R2 attack also has very, very bad recovery. To the point that people can, if they have enough poise, walk into it and poise backstab you very, very easily. Now, last thing about it is that it is actually a very slow weapon. And doesn't have that much range, obviously. So it's slow. So you have to be really careful about swinging it. And chances are is that you'll have to trade hits with this weapon. And the thing is, if they are very close to you and you decide to, I don't care if you swing it one-handed or two-handed, the fact of the matter is, if they're close enough, they can actually backstab you before it even comes out. So even if you try to change directions, as good Miracamo and also Gravelord Great Sword users will do, it's not going to help you. At least for my net anyway. So just see that one just there. You can change directions. So if we go to the pros, I can talk about that a little bit as well. So that's the cons of the weapon. So it's not much damage, it's slow, bad recovery. Now, so for the pros of the weapon, now obviously everyone that plays this game should know that this weapon has toxic. Now, the toxic effect, it drains roughly, I believe, if I'm not correct, about 5 HP per second, which is quite devastating if you are fighting someone that's level 120 or 130-ish range. Obviously, if they're a massive vitality build type thing, it's not going to be too much of an effect to them. Now, if they don't have much toxic / poison resistance, after a few hits against someone around that PvP soul level, it's going to actually inflict it very easily onto them. Now, don't forget, I believe it was martyrsbrigade video. He told us that things like the heavy armor giants, be it the giant's armor, be it the stone armor or the Havel's armor, they actually have very poor poison resistance. So things like this sword, the gravelord sword, is very good in inflicting and also in causing a lot of poise damage along the way. Now, so there's the toxic status. It also actually, I forgot to mention, it also drains stamina. Well, they won't have as much stamina recovery as they did before. Now, second of all, it has a lovely stun lock effect. Usually you can cause it and break poise if you two-hand the weapon. After the second attack, 90% you're going to break their poise and you can combo. Things you can do basically is you can end in the R2 usually, and from there either end on the R2 or you can end with a little bit of stamina remaining using the standard two-hand R1 attack, and then what you can do is you can try to aim for a backstab afterwards. I do have to say, I think it was, what's his name? I think it was something Spades or whatever. Did a lot of the Wrath of God into the backstab. He also did the another poise breaker into backstab. Personally, I do feel it's slightly on the cheap side, but it is what it is in this game, so that's pretty sad. Now, the third thing of all about this weapon is the dashing R1 attack. Now, I already mentioned it is a bit of a flaw as well, but it covers a lot of range, and it is basically its only fast attack. So I use this attack, the dashing attack, usually to maybe trade hits, or to get in, or to build toxic, to add a lot of pressure to them. Now, as I've stated before, it, however, is very poor in the sense of recovery. If they block it, it's no problem because it will push them back. If they, however, decide to eat it and they want to poise backstab you, you don't have much of a chance. You pretty much have to eat the backstab. Now, sometimes though, I've used the katana, not the katana, the chaos blade as my left-hand weapon, sort of dual wielding it. But technically, to be honest, I only use the chaos blade as a counter measure. Hopefully I can swing it just fast enough, turn around and swing it fast enough so I don't get backstab. Sort of like that. So then you'll see me, I would actually switch to the katana. And I'm going, okay, alright, let's try to do this again. And here I was sort of, I don't know what I was really doing, but I wanted to sort of demonstrate that I used the Gravelord Great Sword Dance, and it was a miscalculation. I didn't really pay too much attention to my bleed meter. Now, over this match, you would see that in order to use the Gravelord Sword effectively, you have to change direction with it and manually control it. I was a little bit too greedy with that one. I should have stopped, I shouldn't drain all my stamina, and I should have been okay against the backstab. Now, let's keep moving on. So there was the dashing R1 attack, which I used with the katana. Now, the last thing is, as you saw before, you might see it here again, is because it's a slow weapon, it actually can change direction in the last moment. So as long as you're quite comfortable to unlock and fight, just to tell you here, I hit him and I thought he was just dashing randomly, so I decided to stop. So make sure we're both ready for the fight. But anyway, let's go back to that it's a slow weapon. It being a slow weapon, but it can change direction at the last moment. So in a sense, it's actually a very effective weapon when dealing with people who love to roll backstab. It's perfect bait. So you may see it here. In some videos, you have to pay close attention. That I do it though. So it is actually very effective. And now check this out. That's the combo. That's the Wrath of God backstab combo is absolutely lethal. I do it sometimes as well because I've just had enough. Oh, here we go. Yes. Alright, tighten them up, good. So, a bit of revenge, which is really nice. Okay, so that's the pros and cons of the Gravelord sword. Now, let's go on to talk about my equipment to go with it. Now, as you know, the Gravelord sword, any greatsword really, it drains a lot of stamina. And on top of that, as you can see, I am having it's a medium roll build. So that being the case, I obviously have to care a lot about my stamina. So I have the Ring of Favor and Protection, not only for stamina and regeneration, and also for vitality. I've also have the Grass Crest Shield, so that would help me up in the stamina part. Now, a lot of people might ask me, and might think, hey, why don't you just eat grass? Well, I can do that, but you would have seen in some of my vids is another reason why remember I'm spawning a medium roll build here, and I'm not that high soul level. And the problem that I face against, really, my main problem isn't stamina. My main problem with a medium roll is dealing with magic users. Which then I try to cast the Great Magic Barrier, usually if I feel that I think this guy is a bit cheap, or I think uh, they have some dark magic, so I would cast the Great Magic Barrier for that. And if I only relied on the grass crest, I mean the eating grass, the problem I'll run into is that I can't grass and Great Magic Barrier. Well, now you know why I use the grass crest shield and why I have a bit of faith for Great Magic Barrier and to deal with medium rolling and stamina regeneration. Now, I've already talked about the Chaos Blade. It was mainly my choice to use the Chaos Blade, really is to, as I said, counter the recovery and to save me sometimes from a backstab. On top of that, against, I don't sport it here much, but against some turtle players, basically, if you have a Chaos Blade, it has an insane reach. It also builds bleed a lot. Now, this is just to gain pressure on them. If I could, I most probably would have switched to my Yuchi, which isn't complete. I haven't farmed enough white Titan chunks. Obviously, because the only stat I have that's above, say, 30 right now is really the faith. So I do have a Yuchi, but it's only an occult level 1. Not even occult plus 1, but just occult Yuchi Katana. And I just feel that its reach is not obviously as good as the Chaos Blade. So that's why I have the Chaos Blade on my left hand. Now, in terms of equipment, obviously it being the very slow weapon and it relying its damage really on stun lock, this weapon really, to pair it off well, you need to have high poise. Now, a lot of people would stop usually at roughly 75 or 76. I think there's a particular poise level that you can stop at if you want to just survive a great sword, ultra great sword. But I'm also fighting players that have very fast swing speeds, like katanas, and also, obviously, as everyone would love to hate, the Gold Tracer. The Gold Tracer, as you should know, deals a lot of damage. Not only does it a lot of damage, it does a lot of bleed as well, and it builds up really, really quickly. Now, a lot of people would, I would say, cheaper players, basically, would usually just grab a very high poise gear and then they're just gonna spam that R1 Gold Tracer. Now, what I love to do to these guys, they're usually sporting Havel's gear and that type of stuff. So, for me with my gravelord sword, it's not a problem. As long as I have enough poise to deal with maybe 3 hits or even 4 hits of the Gold Tracer, I could usually stun lock them. And I usually get a better advantage. The chance of someone who knows how to get out of a stun lock and also spam Gold Tracer, not too many. And even if they do, the toxic effect would already be there, and I'll have the advantage. So that's why I've chosen a very high poise gear, and also for the looks as well. That's for the equipment side. So let's talk about how effective this build actually is. Now, it's only very effective and actually very fun to play when you're fighting someone that is around the same PvP soul level standard. So roughly 100 to about 130, 135. The thing is, the reason why that's the case is because this build needs to trade off its vitality points for damage. Because it's a slow weapon, it's just the way it is built. So if they have a fast roll, they shouldn't have much poise, and if they have high poise, they shouldn't have a fast roll. So that's the way it should be. Oh, I love getting that hit in with the Gravelord Great Sword Dance. I just love it. So the worst thing about this build is that's the thing. It's a trading hits build, and that's the Gravelord Sword. Now, a good thing about it as well is because it doesn't have much requirements to use and do decent damage, you can, however, have quite a lot of vitality points for this. So if I was to, say, negate all my faith, which I sometimes don't really use that much, actually, except for the Great Magic Barrier. So say if I said, you know what, I'm just going to pretend I'm awesome and I'm just going to try to roll every single time. I'm not going to use Great Magic Barrier, I'm not going to use any Wrath of Gods or Gravelord Sword Dance, that miracle, then I can actually invest all those roughly 40 points, 40 points or so, into Vitality if I wanted to, and it would dish me exactly the same amount of damage, and I can have roughly maybe 2,200 HP. Yeah, because it will put me up pretty much close to 99 Vitality, so this can be a good Vitality build, and for trading hits, it could be really, really effective. Oh, did you see that? That negated all that, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so this mismatch I get tightened up because again I'm versing stupid Darkbeard and I wasn't thinking properly, and there you have it. Nothing much special. So as I said, personally I hate Darkbeard users personally, but it is what it is. Quote martyrsbrigade. Quote. Well, that sort of puts us to the end of this video. I mean, I can go on. I still got some. I still talk a little bit about maybe actual techniques using the Gravelord sword and matchups and that type of stuff. And I'd have quick switch weapons, on which I actually go and change weapons manually inside the menu while fighting. I do that I've got an avelynn for that against spear users and people who loves to poke or bow users. So I can go into that as well, but that's pretty much all the material I have right now. If you guys are interested, give us a buzz in the comment section. I might do it, I might not, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys want anything else, any questions, feel free to leave your comments below. But yeah, enjoy this guy just logging off. Alright, thanks guys, have a nice one.